Welcome to the October 18th work session of the Salisbury City Council. First, a couple of announcements. First, if there is an emergency during the meeting, we ask that you leave the chamber in an orderly fashion, make a right-hand turn to the end of the hall and down the stairs. Should that exit be blocked, we ask that you make a left-hand turn and then a right-hand turn, go to the end of the hall and down those stairs. Please do not use the elevators. If there's an emergency, if you need assistance, please ask and it will be provided to you. As is customary, at the end of the meeting, we will allow comments from the public regarding the items that are listed on the work session and limited to that. So with that, we have a short agenda today, and we'll start off with the first, which is to create a pilot program. And Nate Sampson, the special assistant to the mayor, is going to do the presentations. Matter of fact, this is his show today. So he'll be doing both items. Thank you.
Good morning, council, or good afternoon, council, and hopefully it's a good thing this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nate.
But the first item in front of you is the pilot program that we're proposing, and you should have the memo along with the pilot agreement, which is a template agreement, as well as the ordinance. And just to walk through a few things here, the purpose of the ordinance is to revise Title III, Revenue and Finance of the City Code, to add a chapter 3.26 entitled Payment in Lieu of Taxes, to create a pilot program for eligible affordable housing projects. And so our next logical question is, what makes an eligible project? And the answer to that is any project that is eligible to receive financing through the Low Income Housing Tax Credit program, which is administered through the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And to qualify for a pilot, no less than 60% of the units available in a project shall be reserved for households having incomes of no more than 60% of the area median income for 40 years. And that's what you see reflected in the template agreement that follows the memo in your packet. And so essentially, this is a long-term we're making sure that our developers are committed to this pilot for a long term in order to receive the tax credit, or the payment in lieu of taxes, I should say. And that payment will be equal to $400 times the number of affordable housing units they have within their development. And so that's how we're calculating that. So essentially, they are not getting credit for those units that are not affordable housing. They are only receiving that $400 credit per unit that actually is designated for that affordable housing use.
Gotcha.
And it actually mirrors what we did previously in 2016 with the Green Street development. So this is mirrored off of that program. This just creates a template that the mayor will be able to enter into these agreements on behalf of the city, and that's why we're trying to codify it. It's one of his central pillars of his Here is Home program that was announced on September 29th. And hopefully you could hear me. I think this is cutting in and out.
No, we can hear you.
But I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have or expound further on any aspect discussed in the memo or the ordinance or the template agreement that you have before you.
Great. Questions or comments? I have one. If they start out in the program and they have a unit that is that meets the requirements, is there a mechanism to know if that changes the status?
Is your question whether they're going to use that unit for an affordable housing use?
Yeah.
So in their program agreement, we actually have on the second page a little equation, and this is what we'll fill in with each respective agreement. It's under number 5 on the second page, and that's where we have that little math equation, 400 times number of affordable housing units. And so at the time that they are signing the program agreement, they would be designating the number of affordable housing units within their development. And if anything were to change, if they were to somehow become ineligible for the program, then they would then be responsible for paying the ordinary taxes as if the agreement had not existed, plus any interest that may have accrued as it's written.
Great. That answers my question. Anybody else?
I guess on the other way, if they increase the number of affordable housing units, is there a way for them to apply for an addendum or something to the agreement?
To the best of my understanding, the agreement would then just have to be updated. And it's a 40-year agreement, so I think that certainly is within the realm of possibility that you may have an updated agreement somewhere down the line, just between the city and that developer or those developers.
Other questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Then do we have consensus to move it forward?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Nate, on that one. Ms. Nichols, will you put that on the agenda? Next, we have a ordinance to create fee waiver program.
Alrighty, now in front of you is the ordinance to create the fee waiver program, as the president so eloquently stated. And so now in front of you, you should have the memo, the program agreement template, the program application and guideline document, as well as the ordinance to create the program. And so this, once again, was one of the primary pillars of Mayor Day's visionary Here is Home proposal that was announced on September 29th, the purpose of which is to incentivize residential development throughout the city. And so this agreement effectively waives a number of fees associated with the development of residential, either single-family or multifamily units and development projects throughout the city. And I would draw your attention to Exhibit 1, which was included in the application and guidelines. And this Exhibit 1 outlines the fees which would be waived through this program, as well as those fees which will not be waived through the program. And so just to run down the list quickly, eligible projects would qualify for either full or partial fee waivers of fees including comprehensive connection charges, subject to the exclusion of water and sewer infrastructure reimbursement fees, which would not be included, as well as water meter and tap fees. Water meter, tap fees, and sewer connection fees, which would not be included within that comprehensive connection charge, simply because that is an actual material cost that the city would have to realize. And so we are not waiving those costs where we'd actually physically have to go and buy materials to tap into a water line and extend. But other than that, other portions of the comprehensive connection charges are going to be waived, in addition to the building plan review fees, building permit fees, demo residential building fee, gas building fee, mechanical building fee, plumbing building fee, annexation fees, which will include the development assessment fee, water and sewer connection fees, development plan review fees, subdivision review fee, re-subdivision review fee, critical area fees, the certificate of compliance there, infrastructure reimbursement administrative fee, and it's important to note that on this one, it's just the administrative fee being waived here. Water meter setting fee and fire prevention fees to include basic fees, expedited fees, after hours inspection fees, fire permit fees to include fire alarm and detection systems and sprinklers, water spray and combined sprinkler and standpipe systems. And then once again, fees that will not be waived are the critical land area program fees, which we cannot waive, the water and sewer infrastructure reimbursement fee, and the water meter tap fee and sewer connection fee, as well as any necessary reinspection fees. We are trying to encourage residential development, but obviously we didn't want to waive the reinspection fees because if you've been inspected once and failed, it's not necessarily something that we'd want to waive the second time. And so now that we've gone over the fees that would be waived through the program, I'd like to speak a little bit about the structure of how those fees will be waived. And this is what you see in a few of the documents. It's reflected in the program agreement as well as in the application and guidelines. And that application and guideline document is the one which goes into the greatest detail about all of this. And so looking at page 3 of that application document, to receive a full fee waiver, a program agreement must be executed within 90 days from the passage of the fee waiver ordinance, which is before you this evening. So from that date of final passage, any developer will have a 90-day window to sign an agreement with the city to enter them into this program. It is a very narrow window, specifically because Mayor Day's objective is to encourage development now. And so this is how we're trying to spur that development. And so all fees will actually be paid on time and in full as the project progresses. And so this isn't something where we're waiving your fees up front in hopes of that you'll complete the project. You're still paying your fees in full as you normally would as a developer. You are then being reimbursed upon receipt of your certificate of occupancy for whichever fees you qualified for a waiver. And we are waiving the fees in different, we've got a tiered system here. So if you have your building permit application and site plans related to the project approved by the Department of Infrastructure and Development by December 31st of 2022, the city will provide fee waivers equal to 25% of all of those fees that you heard me list earlier that are in Exhibit 1. Then if construction on the project commences no later than December 31st of 2023, you will then get an additional 25% waiver of all of those fees that are listed in Exhibit 1. And then finally, if you receive your certificate of occupancy for the project no later than June 30th of 2025, you will receive the final 50% fee waiver for all of those fees included in Exhibit 1. I will note that these credits are designed as such to be stackable. So if you were to receive all your building permits in time but yet miss that construction window, you would not lose your 25% credit. The important thing is that you are hitting that final June 30th, 2025 date with your CO. And that's how you're receiving the fees, and that's how you will receive the reimbursement is upon receipt of your certificate of occupancy. And there is also a benefit for projects that are already under development. And this is something which is a little more nuanced. Essentially, the structure of the fee waivers is the same, with the caveat of fee waivers shall be applicable only to future fees which have not yet become due in the ordinary course of the project's development. This is another way to say that if you are already in the process of developing, we applaud you and we welcome you into this program. However, we are not going to be reimbursing fees that you've already paid for before entering into this program. But we will be waiving future fees that you've not yet had to pay in that normal course of development through the same mechanism, through a reimbursement upon your receipt of your certificate of occupancy. And that's what the administration believes is truly the happy medium to continue to incentivize development while also making sure the city remains prudent with our fee waiver programs to encourage development. And I believe that covers the bulk of that incentive program. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the agreement, the application, or the ordinance that is before you.
Thank you, Nate, for the presentation. I just want to reiterate something that Nate said, because I got 2 emails regarding this particular thing, and I'd like to address that now. There were people that have interpreted the program that you had to sign up, get your permits, and complete the project in 90 days. That is not what this project is. Because if anybody could do that, please let me know and I'll go into the business, because that would be really good if I could do that. So I'm glad you mentioned the milestones. And the other thing that I'd like to state is that those milestones are set in reasonable time periods. And I think that the program should, if I'm reading it the way I read it 3 times in your presentation, the program is meant to incent speed, but not create an impossibility for the developer. And that's what we'd like to do. So that's my take on it. Any other comments that we have?
I think you echoed my thoughts. Nate, well done. Proud of you. When you're governor in 2038, Please remember where you started.
Thank you, Nate. Do we have consensus to carry this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Nichols, if you put that on the agenda, please. Very well presented. Okay, I will now open the floor. Let me see what I got here. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can do this right. Let's start off with Sister Virginia Peckham. Sister, would you come up to the podium, please?
Hi. Do I have to wear this mask at the podium?
No, you can take it off so we can hear you.
I work at the Joseph House in the hospitality room for the homeless. I've only got a kind of an outline of the how Home is Here initiative, but I just want to say that I'm just so grateful for the carrying out of the concept of housing first, because it's so clear to us working for the homeless that if you cannot really help them in any real way unless they have a place to stay. And at that point, you can really understand what's going on with them. You can follow up on things. It's extremely hard for the homeless to follow up on anything, especially in the electronic age. So I just want to say how grateful I am for all that's happened under Mayor Day with these housing initiatives, and particularly the people who work for the city.
Thank you, Sister. Thank you. Next up, Michael Langford.
Don't make us cry again, please.
All right, so you all have a copy of what I intended to speak on today. Are you okay with me reading that?
Yay.
Is that the same thing that you read last time?
It is not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Then
Okay.
can you do it in 4 minutes?
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Okay.
like 3 minutes. I'll
Cool.
read it fast for you, Jack. So while working on the emergency rental assistance program, it's put me in contact with hundreds of individuals every month. And these individuals are applying to shore up in Salisbury neighborhood housing as well. Over 275 individuals in September alone received assistance out of this grant from Habitat for Humanity, Wicomico County. Dozens of those individuals are children in households who otherwise would have lost housing and ended up homeless. When speaking with people at the Board of Ed, I'm aware of dozens of teens in our school whose families are homeless, who face bullying at school for dirty clothing because they're living in cars or on the street. I've spoken with people in the city government who relay to me that there are typically 25 individuals at any given time who are homeless, and that number is up to 80. I'm speaking today in favor of these housing initiatives because they will help stem the tide of this. The housing crisis in our county is growing more dire by the week as the owners of properties sell their homes for profit in the current market, which is their right as property owners, but the increased cost of materials due to the pandemic, there are less houses being built and therefore less places to rent. Epidemiologists who have shown in various studies overcrowding in housing has been shown to be a factor in accelerating the spread of diseases in the past. Just this past week, a mother came in who's renting a property that had rat infestation. Pictures were shown of bite marks on her children and blood on the sheets of the bed that the children slept in at night. The mother told the property managers, who did nothing. Then they reported the company to the housing authority. The property management company's response was to condemn the property, effectively evicting the family and making them homeless. I'm trying to lay out for you how several factors are coalescing to create a problem of mammoth proportions for our community. We must respond with measures as are being proposed by Mayor Day in order to prevent undue suffering. We all live within a system that has resulted in a greater benefit to our national collective than any one individual could attain on their own merit. Diseases like polio and smallpox are eradicated. Many are literate because of our public school system. Deformities such as cleft palates are nearly non-existent, and cases of spina bifida are greatly diminished due to measures like putting folic acid, a key to fetal development, in bread and milk many decades ago. No one argues against proper nutritional requirements, disease prevention measures, and the value of education. Yet, there are people debating the merits of policies which will help provide a basic human necessity, shelter. Last time I spoke of how narratives impact us and the importance that the narratives we choose, allow us to grow more compassionate. Something else essential to our societal well-being and the narratives we choose to believe is hope. In order to prevail in these times of adversity, people need to believe in a system which is not indifferent to their suffering. As leaders in our community, you are entrusted with that civic responsibility of providing hope. I encourage you to continue working to provide that hope by creating space within our local system for affordable, accessible housing, to provide shelter in a storm that is ravaging our land at large, to be a beacon of hope and light so that one day people will speak of our community response to such times with admiration rather than despair at wanton human greed and callousness. Since working at Habitat for Humanity, I now have a growing fear and anxiety with the coming the first of every month that more people will be evicted and we will begin to see young children panhandling on the streets of our community. I ask who here has seen a destitute 4-year-old in the streets? That's something I encountered while serving on medical mission trips to Honduras as a teenager. I assure you it takes a toll on the soul to see such a sight. That could be a reality here soon, and it fills me with sorrow that I don't have words for. But I encourage you to take such concerns seriously and respond in a way to prevent such senseless atrocities in our times. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Next up, I think I'm gonna try it the way Stefana Ring. Is that correct? Ria. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hi, Michael asked me to come today, and as a community manager of one of the apartment complexes, it made me cry. I don't know about y'all, but I just want to say how that Habitat, Salisbury Neighborhood Housing, and Shore have helped 80 families just in my apartment complex. And that's 80 families not on the street. That's 80 people able to keep their job at Walmart, pay their rent. Sorry. Those are kids that don't have to worry about where they're going to be dropped off in the bus, who's going to be there to pick them up. We do have a few of those. Once you get evicted, they still continue to drop off their kids because that's where the bus driver knows to drop them off at. They feel safe there. We were able to keep our jobs in our company, which is great, once again, because of the assistance. We had to take care of our property. There's also, we feel, as a reduction in crime, which I haven't heard mentioned today, but a lot of that has to be because people are supporting the local businesses. They're shopping at the Walmarts, they're shopping at the rural farms, and those people in turn are taking care of those families. Oh, and I just wanted to say also about the healthcare costs. The mental health since COVID has happened has increased just tremendously. By able to keep a steady home, you're helping with the stability, not just in the adults, but in the children as well. They're able to keep their sleep patterns and things like that. So it's definitely a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefana. Appreciate it. Next up, Molly Hilligoss.
Shorter. So for those of you that have not met me, I'm Molly Hilligoss. I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of Wicomico County. And I'm here to just state that we are in support of these two programs, the pilot program and the waiver program. And, and also I wanted to say a few things about some of these incentives that you may not be aware. And it has taken me a long time to fully understand what the impact of low-income tax credit properties, what that impact is for the community. And so I'm just going to give you just a quick summary. So one of the recent projects that was built was over on Merritt Mill, I believe. That's a low-income tax credit property. So they have 4 different buckets of apartments that are available based on your income. And so that's where that low-income tax credit comes into play. So if you earn between 0 and 30% of the area median income, you could qualify for this group of apartments. If you're disabled, you qualify for another group. If you're from the 30 to 60% of the area median income, there's another group. There's also then from up to 80% of the area median income. So that's where that low income tax credit, that's how that works. The problem is that there isn't enough of those buckets for the 0 to 30% of the area median income. Because these 0 to 30% are the people, like a family of 4, that's earning under, say, $20,000 a year. It could be even less. I mean, we've seen with this rental assistance program how many families are trying to survive on just $790 a month. That's nothing. And so there's just not enough of these properties here in Salisbury, even though there's lots of apartment complexes, there aren't enough. And so that's why I'm in support of this, so that developers can come in, take advantage of this pilot program, take advantage of the fee waivers, and build more units for the families that need them. And I could go on, but I hope that that gave you guys a summary. And it's very complex. Building affordable housing is very complex. Here at Habitat, we're building affordable housing that people can buy. So if they are that family of 4 earning under $24,000 a year, they can become a homeowner and their mortgage payment is under $650 a month. That is affordable housing. And we just need more of it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Molly. Questions or comments from the council members?
I'm a crybaby.
Okay.
But I don't cry for just anything, and housing is definitely needed here in our city, definitely. I've seen some of the situations, the similar situations that you and Michael have stated. I live in affordable housing myself. And it's because of the affordable housing that I can afford to live where I live. So we do need that 0 to 30% affordable housing. Because as Molly has said, there are times when people are living in that, the 40 to 50 to 60%, and they can't afford it. They truly can't afford it. They're living from paycheck to paycheck. And when you're getting money once a month, that's a hard pill to have to swallow, because then you're deciphering whether you got food, shelter, medicines, medical. And it's hard, and especially if you have children, it's hard. So I sympathize, and I'm for here is home. I'm here for it. And whatever else we can do to push this and make this move a little faster, which I know we can't, but I'm for it. I'm behind you all every step of the way. Molly, you know I've always helped you and try to provide and try to send people to you for the Habitat Habitat of Humanity. I hear a lot of young women saying, I can't afford where I live. I said, go to Molly. Go to Molly. Ask Molly to help you. You helped my daughter, and I appreciate that. And I think about that all the time. It never leaves my mind. So I'm here for you to do whatever I have to do to make housing become prevalent here, and especially affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yeah, seconded. I mean, I'm not sure how much more I can add to that, but I said this last time, having experienced homelessness myself, I know how hard it is for folks, and how desperate, and when you're in that situation, you're not even aware of all the resources that might be available. So having these programs and creating more housing is going to be, especially after the pandemic, is going to be absolutely crucial. So, thank you.
Thank you. Angela?
I just take a lot of pride in living in a city like Salisbury. I mean, we're really doing great things in so many areas, but when it comes to the housing, it's really good that we do a lot of things for our business and our big development and stuff, but it's really good to be able to really pave the road to get some affordable housing here.
Thank you. Mr. Boda?
Yeah, ditto what everybody else said. I think one of the things that we have to look at about the housing crisis is the number of people in our community that are near homeless, and the number of people that are cohabiting with others. I mean, that's where you're going to see some of that relief come, where there's stress on households where there's, multiple families living in a house. And there is a lot of that going on. So I think that's something that we can help alleviate. And I still think, in other discussions down the road, I think as we look at our code and some of the things, I think we can fix some things there that can help with some of that too. So and some of the things that we're working on. So so very supportive of Here Is Home, and I just want to go on record. The mayor wasn't here when I called it 2030, but I've already called 2038, and that's going to be Mr. Sampson, just so you know. right behind.
Thank you.
He might give you a
I think I
run
know
in
what he's talking
2030.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. I'll explain later.
2030,
I'll explain later.
on now.
Mr. Mayor?
That's what happens when you show up late and start.
Okay, well then let me start by apologizing to the council for being late. And I will watch the tape, Mr. Boda, and we'll find out what you said earlier. Second, let me just say thank you to our partners, Salisbury Neighborhood Housing Service and Habitat for Humanity, for being here tonight, and all of the city's partners in housing people, both those who simply want to call Salisbury home, and then those who do call Salisbury home but can't afford decent and dignified shelter. And there are a lot of great organizations that are working to change that every single day. This is one more step in the process, right? Every single day there are shelters, there are builders, there are organizations that are working on people's credit and loans to keep people housed or to get people housed. So there are a lot of people in this fight. The city is simply stepping up to join. There's a couple things that I want to address that have come up, questions, concerns, one of which has been a question about the externalities associated with the tiny home village that we're planning. I want to be clear that the chronically homeless population in Salisbury right now and in Wicomico County, it doesn't neatly follow political boundaries, but the chronically homeless population exists. These are human beings in our community who are on the street, under a bridge, in a tent, in the woods right now. Helping them to have shelter and warmth or cool air in the summer is not the creation of negative externalities. Call it litter, call it criminal activity, whatever. We currently deal with many of those externalities today as people struggle to be in a position that's safe and protected. And that leads to many of those externalities. You know what I'm talking about. We all do, whether it's litter or whatever it is. However, helping them to have one central location for services, for shelter, for basic fundamentals like a shower, bathroom, that in and of itself does not create new negative externalities, and that's something we got to put to bed right away. I think we've got to state once and for all that Salisbury is a place that cares about every human being here. The second thing that's come up of late is a question about the reasonableness of extending benefits to incentivize development of residential dwellings to happen more quickly. I think that's a good thing because it gives up a short-term gain financially, which, oh, by the way, our residential revenue collected from permitting is about $250,000 budgeted this year. So we're giving up potentially that much, though I don't think we're going to give up that much. It also does not follow that every fee given up is a fee we would have collected. So just because we gain new development does not mean that development would have come without the incentive. When you incentivize an action, you don't get to count the chickens that hadn't yet hatched when you didn't incentivize it. So once again, we are looking to incentivize action on housing because we are in dire need of it right now. It is not fair for us to count that monopoly money as if it was ours to spend as a community. And so, I thank you for supporting this. Thank our partners for supporting this. And I look forward to seeing action on the many inquiries we have seen already for not only infill development, but also annexation for adjacent properties to our city that people are now interested in developing housing on that they weren't interested in under the previous arrangement. So, ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I can sum up my feelings very, very easily and very quickly. We do a lot of resolutions and ordinances. What we're doing now and what we've done in the last week or two is the reason I ran for office. And it makes everything worthwhile. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on that is not fun. This is not only fun, but it's important. Mm-hmm. And that's my position on it, and I fully support it. And the mayor had corrected me last time, this is the second piece of that first leg that we had. And I can't wait to get to the other legs soon. So thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for sharing. And we'll see you in a week. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.